Thank you everybody for joining us. My name is Israel Silva, and presenting with me is my lovely wife.
Monica!
And so we're just excited every time we get to present with you, and we're just really excited about this particular series.
This particular series is really good.
A lot of times in our finances, we talk about how to cut expenses. Oh, cutting expenses so hard. Then we talk about how to make money. Well, once you start making money, and then you have money, you need to do what?
Protect it.
Protect your money. Because don't spend. No. Protect your money. This series is called Your Financial Safety Net. Say that with me. Your financial safety net.
Let's do that again.
Your financial safety net.
Yes.
Woo! You're going to protect your money. Today, we're talking about auto and home insurance. Auto and home insurance and renter's insurance if you're not a homeowner. Everybody pretty much is covered here. They usually live in a home. And that's what we're talking about, auto and home insurance. We always like to start with our scripture. And so I'm going to ask you on three to read with me. 1, 2, 3. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. Proverbs 27:12, the NIV. Now, I think about that when, Monica and I went to Chicago, we took Isaac, and we went to the zoo, and I'm like, that gorilla's too close. That's dangerous. He could just jump over there and he could just attack us. And I think about these things, okay?
When animals gone wild.
Yes. I may get a little more prudent than I think I need to. But then Monica and I were talking about this. She goes, oh, I want to tell my story. So you had your own story.
Yeah, we were actually, I'm going to show a picture to y'all.
Okay.
We were actually
Let's show 'em a picture.
gone on a missions trip to Africa. And after the missions trip on the last day, we had our free day. We went to an African safari. And at the zoo, there's actually fences to protect yourself from the animal. In the safari, there are no fences. No fences.
So who took this picture?
So I actually took this picture. We were inside the Jeep.
Was there a cage around this Jeep?
No, there's no cage. It's a Jeep. It's a Jeep.
So he could have just jumped up there and just ate you for lunch and then everybody else?
Yes, he could have, yeah. He was actually, this picture was taken with a phone. It was not zoom in. The line was right there by the tires of the Jeep. And I was like, Lord Jesus, I came to do your work. Please don't let me die here. But yeah, so this is an African safari that I went on. And I was just, it was one of those things that it makes you think, hey, if something happens to me here, how am I going to be taken care of?
Yeah, we want to tell you about this book of the month here. This is a really good book. It's called If an Elephant Sits on You, Are You Covered? If an elephant sits on you, are you covered? The author is Bart Baker. And I strongly recommend you get this on, get on Amazon. Any books were sold. This is a great book. He tells, the reason he came from this title was that there was a couple he knew of that went on safari.
Like me.
They went on safari, and the guy was there, it was a husband and a wife, and the husband's like, I'm getting this great picture of this elephant. It's right there. And then the elephant decided to adjust himself. Got up, turned around, and sat on the man.
True story.
He did not make it.
Yeah,
he died.
He died on safari.
And the question is, was he covered? His wife was devastated. And this particular author of this book, he is a firefighter, and then he went from firefighter to being an insurance agent. And he's seen time after time after time when tragedy happens. And the question you have to ask yourself, are you covered? Are you covered? And that's what we're talking about throughout this entire series. This series is called Your Financial Safety Net. We want to have a safety net on all of our assets, on our life, on our health, on our family. And so when you look at this pyramid that we have here, the bottom base, the most important things start off with your health. Your health is most critical in everything about you, because if you don't have your health, you can't do much. And that's what we have to make sure we're protecting our health. We're talking about health insurance. homeowners insurance, auto insurance, and we're working our way up. The most important ones are in the bottom. You got to start with your foundation, and we'll work our way up throughout this series. And today we're talking about auto and homeowners insurance and renters insurance. So let's start with that. The first one is the auto insurance coverage.
So I was recently talking to a friend, and this friend was telling me, Monica, I'm saving lots of money on my auto insurance. I just switched to get the minimal legal requirements, the minimal, so I can pay the minimal.
How much money can you save?
And I, and I was actually, when we were doing this research, I saw $19 for, auto insurance. And then I was like, And when I know she was telling me this story because she was trying to tell me, hey, Monica, I'm trying to save money. And yes, we always want you to save money, but this is one of those areas that if we cut too much of the liability, then we're going to have to pay for that if we're in accidents. And this is what we wanted to share with you, that the legal minimum requirements in Texas is not enough to really cover you if you are in accidents.
You think about that with the Texas, we're talking Texas here, legal minimum requirements are 30,000 of bodily injury, 30,000 bodily injury, 60,000 per accident, 30, 60, and then 25 for property damage. That is the Texas minimum requirement. And when you think about that, okay, so then if you have an accident and you hit someone and they get hurt, your insurance is going to cover that person's medical up to $30,000. Do you think that's a lot when it comes to medical?
No, you just walk into the ER and they want to charge you
I hurt my finger.
$30,000.
Okay, $10,000. You hurt your finger. Let me put a cast on it. That's how much. And don't call an ambulance because you just spent $5,000 right there.
Exactly. And a lot of times they're not even covered, so.
And yes, a lot of times they're not covered by the insurance. 60,000 per accident. So if you have an accident and there happens to be 3 people in that car, then the most those 3 people were covered is up to $60,000, and they're only up to 30 each. So that means that if 3 people are hurt and their injuries total up to 100,000, you've got to cover $40,000.
And God forbid you hit a house, property, there's some actually property damage, $25,000, that's nothing for a house. That is nothing for a house.
Yeah, that reminds me of a story.
So, we actually have a family member. They were driving home after working a late night shift.
2 o'clock in the morning.
They were really tired.
Anybody ever been fatigued and tired at 2 o'clock in the morning driving?
I think they were maybe about, maybe 30 feet away from the house. They were about to turn.
They had one turn to get to the home.
One turn to get to the house. One turn to get to the house, And most accidents happen near home.
Near home. This is like 500 feet from home. Driving, and
he actually fell asleep.
Fell asleep.
On the wheel.
And hit a parked car right there on the street.
You always see cars parked on the streets, right? So it's a very dangerous thing, and he hit the car.
The thing about this, had that car not been there, because this was a turn, there was a house directly in front of him. Had that car not been there, he would have driven right into the house.
Imagine the damage then.
Imagine maybe even killing someone, having that on your conscience. We are human. We make mistakes. And I'm sure when we get ourselves in positions, sometimes we find ourselves taking pictures of an elephant. Nowhere do we think that we're going to hurt ourselves. But that happens. We have to work late. We're fatigued. We're tired. We're driving home. Nowhere do we think, oh, I'm going to go and kill someone. But things happen. And we have to be aware of the dangers. And that's why you can increase your liability options. One of the cheapest things to do is to get more insurance. Purchase more than the minimum. Because the quickest way, if you have I've got my emergency fund, I've got $200,000 saved up for retirement, I still got 20 more years, I'm good, I have money right there. And then something happens where you hit a house and they go after all your assets.
Even in this part of town, people are driving cars that are 100.
Yes. Depending on where you are,
yes,
you could hit
please.
a nice Lamborghini sometimes.
Or Rolls Royce.
And you're in River Oaks in Houston.
In this nice area of town, yes.
If you hit a Lamborghini, $200,000. Hope you have some additional coverage. Some additional coverages, you can get your bodily injury, get it up to $250,000 per person. Get the bodily injury total, $500,000 per accident. And then property damage, at least $100,000, because you might hit an expensive car, or you might hit a house or a business. Those things happen. And the cost for the additional on liability, it's very minimal. It's not going to be thousands of dollars or more. It may be per 6 months or per year, it may be a couple $100 more a year. So you might spend $10 or $20 more a month, but the amount of coverage that, if you had $200,000 of damage and they only covered you 30, that's 170. Pay the extra $20 a month, get the total coverage. This is a place where you don't want to skimp on protecting yourself.
Because accidents are going to happen. You're more likely to be in an accident driving to work than to be actually in a plane accident or any other type of accident. Because it's just, there's so many cars out there. There's so many people that are texting and driving. So many people that are just, driving recklessly, watching movies. Don't raise your hand if you ever done that. But it's just one of those things that happens. And so somebody's gonna pay if you're in an accident. The question is it gonna be you or is it gonna be the insurance company? And it all depends on the contract that you signed up with them. It all depends on that. If we want them to pay, then we need to set it up for them to pay. If not, then they can come back and garnish our wages. They can come back and take our assets. It's just not a pretty picture.
Yeah, I want to tell you about one of my past. Okay, it wasn't too long ago. I guess it was about 25 years ago or something.
Not too long ago, just 25 years ago, just 2-3 decades ago.
I think when I was 17 years old, okay, children don't do this at home. I was 17 years old, I didn't have a license. And my parents bought me a car. It was a $500 78 Oldsmobile Omega. It barely went.
Wow,
But
that was a nice car, Omega.
burnt orange.
Burnt
looked like a Nova.
orange.
But here's the thing. I didn't have a license. I didn't have car insurance. And my parents let me get on the road to drive I'm not going to question my parents.
They didn't know any better.
If I were
They didn't know any
thinking
better.
about my child right now, I was like, there's no way. And the thing is, first of all, I was a minor, so my parents had full responsibility if I were to hit someone or, God forbid, kill someone in a car accident. And that really thinks me when we were talking about this. When I was 17, I remember in the car, it was not in good condition. It had watermelon tires. I remember having 3 guys in my car, and then I saw a yellow light, and I slowed down slowly. And the guys were like, "Why are you slowing down? You could have made that." I'm like, "It's raining." So what happened is, as soon as I hit my brake and started to slow down, we started sliding. And we slid right to the stop, right on the red. And they were like, "Okay, we can see why you stopped." It was dangerous. That was a big risk. And I should not have been taking that. My parents should not have been taking that. You shouldn't be taking those types of risks either.
So what would have been some consequences if you were in an accident?
I even read that even if you're over 18, you think, "Oh, my kid, he's over 18, it's on him." If they live in your home, you still can be liable. You still can be liable, so think about that. So some consequences, you're going to have all that liability. What are some options that we can look at for additional coverage? There's collision insurance. Now, what we're asking you to do, we're not going to have enough time to go through all these options in detail, but we're asking you to do this for your homework. Look at your auto insurance. Look at your liability coverages. Those are the cheapest things you can spend money on and get more coverage. There are options like collision. Collision is when you hit anything.
Anything.
So when I was 17, my first accident happened 150 feet away from my home.
Once again, most accidents happen where?
Near the home.
Near the home, exactly.
I was late to work. I had a Coca-Cola, can of Coke. It fell down, and then I backed up out of my driveway, and then I started to go, and I opened my can of soda, and guess what it did? And at that moment, I was just pressing the accelerator, and I just did this. I pressed the accelerator, looked down, and then when I looked up, I was hitting the neighbor.
Neighbor's car.
He was out in the porch.
The neighbor actually saw this happen. And actually,
Yeah.
Israel's so traumatized by this, he will not drink soda. Since then, I mean, it was just, he remembers that moment.
It was bad. So anyway, I immediately slammed the brake right into his vehicle. It was an old pickup truck, and my dad was outside, and he saw it, heard the screech, and came. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? My dad's like, let me talk to him. So just go to work. So my dad went to work. He told me to go to work. I went to work. He paid him $20. The guy didn't have a dent on his big 78 pickup truck. My car was missing a headlight. Collision would have covered that. Even my stupidity there, collision would have covered that. So think about collision. Now you have to look at the coverages. If I had a $500 car, do I need $10,000 of coverage? No, because they're only going to cover the value of the vehicle. So in that case, maybe I had $500, which I don't think at that time I did. I could cover my own car. But maybe, it's something worse. So collision covers damages. Comprehensive, that's comprehensive, that's total care for your car.
Total care for your car.
So if you have a hailstorm, those kind of things like floods, hurricanes, those
Yes.
types of fires, it's going to
Floods.
cover that. And so you look at that, uninsured, underinsured motorists.
And unfortunately, I have way too many stories about uninsured motorists where someone's driving, they're on their way to work, and somebody else hits them. And did they have insurance? No.
It happens all the
Exactly.
time.
And-
Even in the book, we had a story.
Exactly. And who ends up having to pay for that? Exactly. We do.
You do. So, yeah, there was a story in the book, if an elephant sits on you or you covered, and the author said the guy was running. Actually, no, he was not running. He was on his bicycle,
He was on his bicycle.
driving his regular routine, and someone came and hit him, not paying attention. And he remembered flying and then waking up in the hospital. That's what happened. Everybody was around him. He almost died. And luckily, his auto insurance had underinsured or uninsured, because this person who hit him had no insurance. But he had, in his own, even though he was on a bicycle, he had or no insurance, underinsured or non-insured motorist, and so his insurance paid for it.
Because he had insurance, and it was an auto accident, then he was able to use his insurance company to pay. So
Very
a
important.
lot of times we're not just covering ourselves in case we hit someone, we're protecting ourselves in case somebody hits us. And that's why it's so important it's so important for us to have the best auto insurance to protect us.
Some other options are you have emergency roadside assistance. That's important if you want to have that. If you have AAA, you may not need that. But it's there. It might be like a $10 adder. Think about that. We're not telling you what you need to sign up for. We're asking you to evaluate your coverage. Think about the things that are going to help you the most. Medical is a big part of it. PIP is, in Texas, a requirement, and you have to waive it yourself. I think it comes in $2,500, $5,000, $10,000. So think about that PIP. Anybody in your car, they're going to get paid. If you have a $2,500, each person's going to get $2,500 of coverage. It's like the first one applied.
And it's one of those things that when we're having medical bills due to an accident, we want to be able to pull coverage from everywhere. Whether it's the auto insurance company that's paying because there's medical needs there, or whether it's our medical insurance company, the more insurance the payments that we're going to be receiving, the less bills we're going to have to pay. Because if not, once again, the person who's involved in the accidents, they're going to try to see where can we get the money? Where can we get the money? If we're involved in the accidents, we need to find out who's going to pay. And a lot of times people don't even realize that they have these benefits in their insurance because they opt out or because they try to get the cheapest insurance.
And so medical is an option. If you don't have health insurance, which most people do these days, but if you don't have it, you need the medical payments. It'll help pay for the medical bills. And again, look at the different coverages that are for you. Whenever you go to the hospital, you want to bring out your health insurance, they're going to ask you, was this an accident? Because your health insurance does not want to cover you. They're secondary to these options. So if you have these options, look at them carefully. You will get paid right away with these options, using these first over your health insurance. Because health insurance, are you in network or you're not in network? Are you out of network, doctor? The lab's not in, but the doctor is, and Monica goes through that a lot.
Exactly. And Israel actually hurt his back. And the insurance company was calling you what they're asking you.
Did you get injured? Is this workers related? And it was, no, I was running. Okay, you sure? Not, they like several times.
And they record these conversations, so please be careful what you say.
So that's your auto insurance. So it's very, very important to look at your coverages, to make sure you're covered for your auto, because your car is one of your greatest liabilities. Don't lend your car to someone else. Please don't, because you're responsible. You're the owner of that car. And if you're going to lend it to your children, make sure they're covered. So recognize those things. That this is very, very important in protecting our assets. So remember, they can go after you very quickly.
Now, we also have more assets to protect, and a lot of times people say, well, I don't own a home. I don't need insurance for my apartment. And actually, there's a story. When we're talking about renter's insurance, we're talking about wherever you are currently renting at, whether you're renting from someone or you're renting from an apartment complex, wherever you're at. Dave Ramsey, many of you are familiar with him, actually had a tenant. And this tenant, their house caught on fire. And so this tenant had told Dave, so when is the insurance company going to come out to pay for my stuff? And Dave said, I am so sorry. I legally cannot insure your stuff. So Dave Ramsey was going to get a check for the house, but that person was going to get nothing for their valuables.
They did not have renter's insurance.
They didn't have renter's insurance. And guess what? It's expensive to buy furniture. It's expensive to replace your home. Your
appliances,
your
jewelry,
your clothes,
your computer, your cell phones.
I actually had another friend that during Harvey 2 years ago, when the storm came, their apartment flooded. We heard a lot of people's homes flooding, but a lot of apartments flooded as well. And because even though it just came in a little bit of water, the smell was soaked up in her clothes. And so she couldn't wear her suits or her nice clothes to church or to work. Imagine having to replace your whole wardrobe. It is very expensive.
Monica, that'd be like, wow, that's a lot. But renter's insurance covers that. It covers personal property, jewelry, electronics, computers, clothes, those things, everything contained within the dwelling. And it's good to take pictures. It's good to get your camera out and record those things. Look at your coverages. Make sure your coverages cover what you own. Those are some important things. Some events that apply in these things, of course, like we said, fire, lightning, windstorm, hail damages, floods, all these things apply to your renter's insurance. So make sure if you're, how many people are renters? Just show of hands. We got about half, or maybe a little less than half of the people are renters. This is one of the most important things to do, is to look at your coverage. Because you might have like an old beat up washing machine and dryer, but if something happens like a flood, woo-hoo, I got a new washer, a new dryer, I got a new refrigerator coming.
Or if not, you have a $1,000 bill. You have all these new expenses.
If you don't have that coverage. So very, very important for renters insurance to have those coverages.
So what else do we have?
We have homeowners insurance.
Homeowners insurance.
Homeowners. When I think about homeowners, I think about one of our volunteers that she told about a story where her and her husband went to Louisiana. They're out of state, and they're enjoying their picnic, and then ring, ring, pick up the phone. Mama, yeah, the house is on fire. I'll call you back. She prayed, God, your house is on fire. And there was a sense of peace that came on her. One, because she knew God owned that home, and it was his to take care of. But also she had a sense of peace because she knew she had the right coverage. She had homeowners insurance. Her and her husband, they drove back to Houston the next day. Their insurance agent met them at the lawn. She saw her home, all of her belongings wet, just thrown on the lawn, just all over. Just seeing your pictures and all your furniture just all trashed. And half your house on fire, just burned down, just charred. It's devastating.
Very.
It's very devastating. But the worst thing is not having homeowners insurance to cover that. Now, our particular friend, she and her husband met with the agent. The agent said, we're going to take care of you. We're going to take care of you. Here's some spending cash. Here's a hotel we're going to put you in. And then in a couple months, we're going to put you in another apartment. And we're going to set you up. This rebuild's going to take maybe 6 or 8 months, but we will take care of you all the way. She did not have to spend a penny. I mean, she went out with cash in her pocket and a nice hotel in a nice part of town because she had the right coverage.
Because she had the right coverage. Now, if she wouldn't have had the right coverage, guess what? She might have been saying, hey, friend, can I move in with you? Or if she had no friends, maybe a shelter. Imagine having to be asking people, well, is there any clothes you can donate so I can take? Instead of actually having cash money to go and buy whatever clothes she wanted to buy. Imagine, I'm like wondering whether she just needs to sell this house at a loss or being able to know, hey, they're going to remodel this house and this house is going to be better than it was before. But the difference was the type of insurance that she had.
Yeah, there's a couple of things you have to look at. There's guaranteed replacement coverage, and then there's market value coverage. If you have a home, make sure you take your homeowner's insurance policy and you look at it carefully. I think about when Monica and I, we built a house 3 years ago, and when we were doing this, I was the one getting the insurance. And the guy was like, oh, I'll save you some money. How much, you build your house for, okay, we built it. Well, the loan for the bank was 180, but we put a lot more into it. Oh, 180? Okay, that's what, he saw in his paperwork. He's going to insure our house for 180. Premiums will be low. I'll save you some money. I'm like, no. This house is not going to cost me $180,000 to replace. It cost me $260,000 to build. And I was the general contractor. So if I would not have been, it would have been $330 to have built this home. I want that much money in coverage. Oh, but your premium's going to be higher. I don't care. I want the coverage. And I want guaranteed replacement coverage so that whatever I have, my home's on fire, like our friend, she had that. Her home was completely replaced. Brought up to code, even though the home was a little bit older, brought up to code. There's ordinances that changes. But if you have the guaranteed replacement, it's replaced as is. But if you have market value, that might not be the case. Oh, your house is only worth $80,000, so we'll replace up to $80,000. You cover the rest. Make sure you have the right coverage. Well, your home is one of the biggest investments you'll make in your life. You have to make sure you have the right coverage. Mm-hmm. Personal property, again, we talked about, it's just like renter's insurance, covers your personal property. Loss of use, if you can't use it, again, they'll put you into a hotel, like our friend who was in a hotel and then an apartment. So that loss of use, when they had Hurricane Harvey, a lot of people did not have flood insurance. Homeowners insurance typically does not cover floods.
No.
That's a separate insurance. You need to have that if you're in the floodplain. And a lot of people, guess what? Floodplains change. So you need to be aware of how close and how much of risk you're carrying. That elephant, it's right there. I can get away with it. I get close. I don't need flood insurance. You might need flood insurance. Is it worth the risk? You have to evaluate that. And then personal liability is very important too. People can get hurt at your home.
Exactly. A lot of times, we may have just a party, we may have a get together, and once again, somebody falls, somebody slips. I've slipped down our stairs, unfortunately. And so it's just human nature. Things happen. But once again, are they going to go after you, or are they going to go after who? The insurance company.
Who's taking on the risk? That's what you need to know. A lot of homeowners insurance, they'll cover like part-time people, 20 hours or less of workers. You might have a maid that comes in here once in a while. But if you have a full-time person working in your home, it's like a daycare and you have a business, it's a different thing. Look at the terms of your homeowner's insurance. Understand those. And so real quick story. We had lightning strike our house, like not our house, but in the area. And it was a surge that went on. And it burned up our AC unit, the control panel.
In 3 places.
$800 of damage. And I remember telling Monica, you were like so hot. It was just hot. It was like in the worst time. I think it was
in the
summer. And she's like, get it fixed. I'm like, okay, but it's $800. We have an emergency fund. Let's get it fixed. Okay, we got it fixed. And then later on, I'm thinking, wait a minute. This is like a month later, 2 months later maybe. I'm like, Monica, let me go back to our insurance policy. And go back, and I read, and somewhere in there I found what covered lightning.
It would have covered lightning.
Here's the sad part. We never filed the claim.
So
$800.
don't do what we did.
We could have taken you all to lunch. We would have taken that.
Everybody, the whole class.
And you know, $800, that's a lot of money. And sure, we had the ability to cover it, but know your home insurance. Know what your coverage is. Understand what the risk has been transferred to someone else. You have to review your coverages. You have to meet with an insurance agent to get a lot of these coverages. We're not licensed insurance agents.
No.
So get with someone, check recommendations. Get 2 or 3 recommendations from people you know, and sit down and have these discussions with them.
And it's very important because a lot of times, whether we use the emergency fund or we use the credit card, and that's how we get into debt. But let's transfer this risk. Let's not take this risk on ourselves. We have too much to protect. We have our families, we have our loved ones, we have our businesses. Let's have the insurance companies. That's what they're for, to take on these risks.
Yes. So medical payments, so that last one, same thing like medical for auto. If you get those, it will cover medical. Someone gets hurt in your home. So there's umbrella insurances. There's all kinds of other insurances. We can't go into them for your home, but understand what's out there. Get with one of your professional insurance agents and walk through this. It'll save you tons of money and protect you. Now, we have other things we're talking about in this series. So we've just talked about auto and homeowner insurance, and I feel like we just touched on it.
Just a little touch.
But what we want to do is we want to bring an awareness to you.
Yes.
An awareness of why this is important. Awareness that you have to really look at everything you own. The more you own, the more risk you have. Like, oh, I got a new house, I just paid for it, I got a car, I just paid for it. The more you have at risk. What insurance is for is to transfer risk. Not on you, but on someone else, to share that liability. There's other insurances, disability, health. So next week, we'll be talking about health and disability. Very, very, very important topics.
Very important.
And so we believe that, as the scripture says, the prudent see danger and they take refuge. So we believe and we declare that when you see these dangers and you say, Lord, I'm taking refuge, I'm using wisdom,
Yes, Jesus.
and I'm applying it, that you will be blessed, you will protect your assets, that God will give you that wisdom and protect you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.